Viva La Libertad, carajo was Milei's campaign slogan last year. It means long live freedom, damn it. And his political party is La Libertad Avanza, freedom advances. But in Javier Milei's Argentina, what exactly does freedom mean? For a government which boasts so much of its libertarian ideology and dedication to freedom, the administration of Javier Milei is looking more and more authoritarian by the day. Freedom of information is or should be a democratic right, even when it annoys the government by revealing uncomfortable truths. That is kind of the point, after all. Since its election last year, Milei's government has been asked quite a few questions it would rather not answer. So last week, Milei decided to put a stop to all this nonsense with a presidential decree designed to put limits around what can be requested under freedom of information. This includes limiting access to working papers and deliberations of officials, as well as information about their private lives. President Milei is said to be infuriated with constant trivial questions about how much the upkeep of his favourite dogs is costing the state, and a whole lot of other questions surrounding his relationship to his favourite canines, which I'll save till the end of the video. However, just last week saw the publication of a working paper on legislation which would potentially see convictions overturned and sentences reduced for human rights abusers and murderers from the last dictatorship. Under the new regulations, this kind of document would have been withheld or suppressed. The decree to define what falls within the scope of a freedom of information request is worded in such a vague way that its interpretation could be used to hide a multitude of sins and inconvenient truths. As you can imagine, there's been an outcry among local and international civil organisations, 70 of whom, including Amnesty International, signed an open letter demanding the decree be repealed. And within the Congress, the move has been widely criticised, even by traditional allies of Milei's party. This intention to block access to information, along with the recent restructuring of the state intelligence services, bodes ill for Argentine democracy, but falls into line with other hardline leaders, would-be leaders, and their supporters around today's world. Across the world, freedom of information is generally seen as a cornerstone of democracy. Having laws in place giving free access to information about state machinery and those with their hands on the levers of power helps journalists keep an eye on what elected officials are up to and ensures that they keep their snouts out of the trough, in theory. Freedom of information is generally seen as a good thing, and the kinds of countries that put limits on such freedoms are also the kinds of places where journalists regularly fall out of windows. The kleptocratic governments of Nestor and Cristina Kirchner got away with a lot, simply because there was no legal free access to information in Argentina, and members of the government could behave in the most outrageous ways pretty much with impunity. Journalists had to dig very hard to get at the truth. In 2016, the succeeding government of Mauricio Macri campaigned on creating a more open society and transparent government and introduced a Freedom of Information Act. This would allow journalists and even ordinary citizens to request to see, among other things, the personal accounts of politicians and other state officials, and so keep an eye on the flow of state money, as well as the general comings and goings at state offices and residencies. The law has served its purpose well and is providing a major source of evidence in some of former President Alberto Fernandez's current woes. Fernandez could very soon find himself in the dock over corruption, insurance fraud, illegal parties during the COVID lockdown at the presidential residence in Olivos, and even wife beating or girlfriend beating, a whole can of worms for a future video perhaps. Much of this would never have come to light without the Freedom of Information law, and because of it, Fernandez could very well be facing jail time. Argentines love their dogs, and Milei is no different. It seems that everyone in Argentina has a dog. Argentina apparently has the highest ratio of dogs to people of any country in the world. I'm not sure if that's true. Argentines like to boast about a lot of stuff, but it's absolutely believable. Conan was a huge English Mastiff adopted by Javier Milei many years ago. He loved that dog so very much. When Conan passed away, Milei had clones of him made, 4 of which survive and live with him to this day. Each one is named after a famous or notable economist. English Mastiffs are massive and presumably cost a lot to feed and house, and they live with the president at his official residence in Olivos. How much they cost and who pays has been the source of a number of freedom of information requests, which presumably this latest decree will quash. The president's attachment to his canine companions runs deep. Milei has never been married, has no children, but often refers to Conan and his descendants as his 4-legged children. At his presidential inauguration, Milei had images of his beloved pets, including the face of the deceased Conan, inscribed into the head of the baton of state. When questioned about his dogs, Milei sometimes seems confused as to how many live with him. Sometimes he says 4, sometimes 5. Milei says that the presence of Conan is always by his side. There are rumours that the president employs a medium to help him commune with his pets both in this world and the next, and Milei himself has said that he sometimes turns to his animals for policy advice. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, there's a couple of videos on the screen now. If you're not already subscribed, you might want to do that too. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. And until next time, que tengas un buen día.